Zoolander is one of those movies for me that I still, about 15 out of the 30 nights a month, I will fall asleep to with Zoolander on the TV. I love Zoolander. I've been dying for a sequel. This trailer sucks. I sell this. This trailer sucks. This has gone from being a pithy, kind of juxtaposition thing of the world of fashion with intelligent stuff. It's a stupid guy, blah, blah, blah. And in the original Zoolander, Derek was simple, but when it came to certain things, he was actually incredibly intelligent. They did that in certain parts of the movie where he's simple, yet really smart in something. And this just felt like a Beavis and Butthead trailer. Like in many ways, the feel of it was like a Beavis and Butthead, and I just thought it was nonsense. And now for the first time since even the concept of a Zoolander 2 came up, which I had been so excited about, I don't care about this movie now.
You think they're just
that is what this trailer's done for me. I do not care about this movie now. It just feels like they're going, let's just go as stupid as we can. Like honestly, it felt like a trailer made for, I don't know.
Babies?
Babies. Maybe that
what
would
if it was called Two-Lander? You would hate it?
Well,
more or less?
Well, I mean, if he was Roman. The jokes in it felt so obvious.
There's a 2 in the Z.
Come on.
No.
John, come on.
But this is interesting,
and I've been looking forward to this movie more than any of this table. I was so excited for this, and now I'm like, I think it's
because you were too excited.
Maybe.
About it. I think
that
you
could
were.
Be it.
Maybe you were expecting to see like footage or something. You're like, when are they going to get to the footage? Why do they keep showing outer space? Maybe that was it.
Is that why you didn't shave this morning? Because you were so depressed over Zoolander?
I was so down about this. I can't even eat.
I saw him at a gas station playing with the gas. Like I saw it. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm completely with you on, especially the cover of the magazine. I thought the cover of the magazine was just 3 images of things that we haven't not seen already. It was.
I haven't seen Batman that chubby.
I just, it was okay. It was there, so it's cool to see that it's on the cover. I'm dying with anticipation to see the film. That being said, the comments from Affleck are bang on. They're absolutely. Here's the thing. A couple of decades ago, and Schnepp can speak more to this than I can really, but a couple of decades ago, there was a shift in the Batman character in the comic books. He became a character who truly was. He was skin that was just containing a boiling eruption of rage and anger that comes from the moment of seeing his parents killed in that alley, to the point now that he unleashes that rage and anger now in a controlled way on those who would prey upon the innocent in Gotham City. In essence, any criminal in Gotham has to pay the price for the people who killed his mother and father. That's Batman. We started to get we did get a glimpse of that Batman in the Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale Batman, but we have never really truly seen it embodied. And what I love about these comments from Ben Affleck and the fact that he is such a lifelong Batman nerd is that you knew he was going to bring that. He wanted that element of it. When Zack Snyder started talking about, The Dark Knight Returns being such a heavy influence, you knew we were going to get a glimpse of that rage-infused Batman. And in that trailer, man, when you hear Jeremy Irons talking about he becomes cruelty or whatever, and that there's a close-up on Affleck's face, if you watch it close, man, I love that trailer because when you watch those frames closely, Affleck's face is shaking. You just feel the rage coming off of it. And to see that Batman, now that doesn't mean that this Batman is going to be better than Christian Bale's Batman. Not at all. But I do think we are going to get this element of Batman that Bale's Batman didn't give us. And I am very excited about that. Whether they use it right or wrong, we're going to have to wait and see. But just the fact that they seem to be zoning in on that, super stoked.
John Byers said that we will eventually get a Hellboy 3.
I sell it. I sell the idea that it's ever going to happen. And honestly, I love Guillermo del Toro. Man, I love this guy. But it was only about 8 months ago that in another interview asked about possible Hellboy 3, he said it would minimum cost $200 million to make. Now he's got an interview saying somewhere along the lines he chopped $80 million out of that and said it's $100. I want to ask this question. Why does it have to be $120 million? Why does it have to be that expensive? Like the last Hellboy movie total worldwide made $160 million. That means you're going to lose a huge chunk of money if you make a movie right now for $120. And here's the other question. The last Hellboy movie, which had a lot of special effects and a lot of weird, wacky, awesome things going on, he made that for $85 million. Inflation is not that steep. Why does this one have to be 20? I keep going back to this one. District 9, with tons of amazing visual effects, CG aliens, all that kind of stuff, $30 million. There is a problem in Hollywood today. And that problem is rampant overspending. There is far too much money being spent on producing these movies these days when other movies come out and prove they don't need to spend that much. And then people ask, why are movie tickets so expensive? Because the bleeping studios and filmmakers insist on, oh no, this movie's going to cost $200 million to make. And now so we can't just charge $7 for a ticket. Now we got to charge $9 for a ticket. You know, I just don't get it. And the filmmaker like Guillermo del Toro, who has a background in indie filmmaking, right? Who has a background in budget filmmaking. Why does a Hellboy 3, when the first Hellboy I think cost like $55 million to make, the second one costs $85, why does Hellboy 3 need to be $120 million? When District 9 costs $30, why does it have to cost that much? If really the big roadblock right now, because apparently Ron Perlman wants to do it,
right.
Guillermo says he wants to do it, you know, there are fans out there who want it. If the big roadblock is budget, then come up with a movie that you can shoot for a reasonable price. Hellboy is awesome because of Hellboy.
Right.
Just give us Hellboy. I'm a little verklempt by it, but I don't think he's really all that interested. I think he says he's interested, but I don't really think he is. So I don't think it's ever going to happen. All right, I'm going to describe for you a film. In this film, there's an aspiring young artist who cuts some sort of track and catches the attention of somebody in power who promises them money and fame and glory, but in order to achieve that, there's some alienation among their group of friends that have stuck with them all through thick and thin up until this point, and ultimately the artist has to face this dilemma. Do I stay loyal and true to myself and my friends, or do I pursue that gold brass ring? Now, am I describing We Are Your Friends, or am I describing, as one of you two guys pointed out in our pre-production meeting, Gem and the Holograms? The answer is yes, it's both. And look, everybody knows I am, maybe to a point irrationally, the world's biggest defender of Zac Efron. I think this guy has way more talent than people give him credit for, and I think he's going to be a major, serious actor with us for a long time. I just don't think a lot of people recognize it yet. But what the hell are you thinking? This movie looks awful. Where's the movie about the young kid who decides, you know what? I'm going to put my nose down. I'm going to work hard in school, and I'm going to achieve these great things, and I'm going to get into the best college. I have these goals and these dreams of being a doctor and curing diseases. I want to be a DJ. I don't want to have to effing go to work. Look, and I'm not trying to bash DJs at all. I mean, look, I hang out in Vegas a lot, man. Good DJs are diamonds for a club and stuff. I'm not doing any of that. But where are those movies about the real kids who do real work and really dedicate themselves to really doing something? It's like, man, I don't like having a regular job. I'm gonna go sleep with my boss's girlfriend. I just don't get it. I cannot get into this trailer whatsoever. For me, Zach, I still love you, dude, but sell. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Mailbag, the show here on Collider Video where all we do is take your mailbag questions. My name is John Campea. I am the senior producer over here at Collider Video. And how do you get one of your questions on our show? Here's how you do it. You simply email us to collidervideo@gmail.com. Just send in your mailbag questions, and maybe you'll see your question pop up on Movie Talk sometime Monday through Friday, or maybe you'll see it pop up on here on the weekends on Mailbag. This is a great weekend for us around here. Number one, it's Ray's birthday. Ray is of course, our graphics guy, our behind-the-scenes guy who works with Dennis, and a big happy birthday to him. We're going to be going out and celebrating tonight. A whole bunch of us from the crew, we're going to be going up to Hollywood and watching the Ronda Rousey fight tonight, the big UFC. We're big UFC fans around here, as some of you may know, because Dennis and I are talking about it all the time, ad nauseum. And Ronda Rousey has pretty much become the biggest superstar. I mean, it was funny because 3 years ago, maybe another year or two more than that, there wasn't even women fighting in the UFC. There was no women's division. And now, just a couple years later, probably arguably the biggest star, the highest pay-per-view draw is a female fighter in Ronda Rousey, who is just absolutely a beast. And I cannot wait to watch her destroy yet another opponent tonight, which is going to be a lot of fun. So, hey, listen, without much further ado, let's get into the mailbag. Now, for those of you who might be new to Mailbag, this is a very, as you can tell, a more casual show. I'm going to stop and take a drink. We'll talk a little bit of behind-the-scenes stuff about Collider Video, and we'll talk a lot more informally and just kind of yap like film fans would. Let's get one thing out of the way first. And I know I always bring this up whenever somebody mentions that movie's a cash grab, that movie's a cash in, whatever. Every film, ever made in the history of Hollywood production, and most of them are Hollywood productions, have been cash-ins. They are all cash-ins. Anybody who tells you otherwise is lying or extremely naive. They are all cash-ins. Nobody ever put up $50 million and say, yeah, well, here, I'll just throw this $50 million away and I don't care if it makes money. No. You get investors to pay for your movie by convincing them this movie can make money. No film has ever been approved where the filmmakers know and the people behind the scene, the people writing the checks know that this movie's going to lose me $10 million. This movie's going to lose me $50 million. It is the film business. It is the, say it with me, film business. It's about making money. It's like the car business. Ford isn't in it to do this, that, or the other thing. Ford makes cars to make money. Each car they produce is because they believe that car is going to make us money. Every movie that a studio decides to release, they release it because they believe it can make them money. Movies being cash-in is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all, because that's what they all are. Now, getting to your other point is, what's the point of Rogue One? It's not going to further the Star Wars story. And we know how it ends. The good guys win. Here's the thing. Everybody knows that I'm generally opposed to prequels. I don't like prequels. I mean, look, I'm going to be there to see a young Han Solo movie. I'm totally going to line up and maybe it'll be great. But would I have rather them do something else? Yeah, I would have rather them spend their time and energy making something else. Because I already know this character. This character is not going to die. What are you going to do in a Han Solo movie? Han Solo, there's a big epic end battle, and you don't know if the good... Because guess what? In today's modern age, sometimes the good guys die. But anyway, Han Solo's going to be hanging off the Millennium Falcon over a deep canyon, and the movie's coming to its climax. Will he fall and die? Well, obviously he doesn't. We know this. Rogue One, I got to say, though, is different from a prequel per se, because it's not going to be Han Solo starring in Rogue One. It's not going to be Luke Skywalker starring in Rogue One. It's not going to be Princess Leia. It's going to be a new set of characters. And yes, Darth Vader, we already know, will be a side character in that and stuff, because he's part of the environment of that universe. That only makes sense. But while we know the good guys get the Death Star plans, we know that. That's all we know. Like, there's going to be 5 sets of heroes and villains in this movie, and we are going to have no idea if they live or die. We are just not going to know. How do they get the Death Star plans? Was getting the Death Star plans, did they have to get a different way than they thought? Did they get all of them? Did everybody die in the attempt? Did everybody get out alive and bring the Death Star plans triumphantly to, that moon on Yavin 4? Like, what's happening here? How is this going to happen? We don't know. So this is unique amongst the concept of prequels. And everybody knows I don't like the idea of prequels, and yet I'm okay with this one. The other thing is, getting to your point about this movie doesn't further the Star Wars story. So what's the point? The point is making a good movie. The point is giving us a good standalone movie. Not everything has to be looked at through the goggles of franchises. Not everything has to be looked at through the goggles of sequels. I mean, because with that mentality, we could sit back and go, because remember, these Star Wars standalones are anthologies. They're their own isolated, contained stories. Because if we logically follow that argument through, we could sit there and say, what was the point of Shawshank Redemption? I mean, what was the point of that movie? There was not going to be a sequel, and it didn't further the cinematic universe or create a cinematic universe. So what was the point? The point was giving us one of the greatest motion pictures in the history of cinema. That was the point. And one that could make the studio money. Rogue One, the hope is, I think this story about, this development of this rebellion, getting this galactic empire, fighting to get these things out, I think this sounds like it could be a terrific story and a fun time at the movies. Who cares if it doesn't further the story of Luke Skywalker? Who cares if it doesn't further our understanding of Yoda off on Dagobah? Who cares? You just give us a great movie. And that's the point. So the point is they think they've got something that will make a great movie and will make them a lot of money. So what's the problem? I honestly, I just don't see the problem here. Number one, all films are made to make money, and a movie with the name Star Wars in front of it is greatly positioned to make money. And do you have a great idea, and are you bringing on a great director and great storytellers, which they are, to tell that story that would be a good story? Because remember, one of the things Hollywood is learning now, it hasn't always been this case, but Hollywood's now learning. You can have movies that are going to make a ton of money no matter how terrible you make them. Transformers 4. But what they are realizing, though, is that the better your movie, the more money it will make. And trust me, Hollywood is all about greed. It's all about greed. And greed is good, as we learned from Wall Street. So they know, okay, we can make this trash and we'll make, $100 million. But man, if we put effort in this and make it really good, it'll make $170 million or it'll make $115 million. And don't ever fool yourself into thinking, the big Hollywood studios don't care about an extra $15 million. You're damn right they do. They care about that a great deal because greed works. So yeah, who says it needs to further the story of Star Wars? This is its own anthology movie, a self-contained one-shot movie, like most movies that come out in theaters. So let's go and enjoy it and hope that they make a lot of money. As for those of you who've been watching Movie Talk for a long time, for a while, well, Movie Talk didn't start as a live streaming show, but for about a year and a half or almost 2 years, we did do the show as a live streaming show, and we would do Movie Talk at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it would live stream. You could watch it live, and then it would go up on YouTube afterwards, so you could watch it afterwards as well. When we moved into, and some of you know this already, when we moved into our brand new studio here in Burbank, California, it is a glorious studio, just a terrific creative space for us with offices and studio space and multiple stages and dressing rooms and conference rooms and things like that. It's great. We love it here. But one of the drawbacks was that we didn't have internet service in here. None of the internet companies natively have already serviced this building or serviced this area. And I kid you not, there's no hyperbole here. To get one of the major internet service providers to run service into this building, it was going to cost us $30,000 up front. I don't have $30,000. If you do, please send it to me. Even if it's not for internet, no, seriously, send me $30,000. Anyway, and so what we did was we needed some kind of internet in here. And what we did was we got these little cellular network LTE hotspot boxes. And that was basically the same internet that your phone gets, right? And that became our internet service. Now that is not either fast enough, and sometimes it was fast enough, but it was not stable. And so it wasn't reliable enough for us to do live streaming at HD video. That takes a lot of solid bandwidth, and we just didn't have it. So we thought, okay, we will get internet in here someday. And until then, we can't do live streaming. So we went to not live streaming anymore. And now I'm pleased to announce we have just ordered internet service. It's going to take us about 2 or 3 months to get it put in the building, but we're going to get solid internet service in here. So I'm very excited about that. That means we are going to be able to live stream some stuff, but Dennis Zen and I have been talking a lot over the past couple of months about, do we even want to go back to live streaming? Because, and honestly, I'm not sure that even once we get this great solid internet in here, I don't know that Movie Talk, Collider Movie Talk, the Monday through Friday show, I don't know if we're going to make that a live streaming show again. We will certainly do some live streaming shows and some live streaming events from here, but will we do Movie Talk? I'm not so sure. I'm not saying no, but I'm also saying we're not at yes either. Here's why. We have found that it's actually made our lives a lot easier not doing it live. Because when you're doing it live, you have to start at 11 a.m. If people are running late, no matter if you're technical problem. And then, man, I tell you, there were some days when we were doing the live show where we would run into a couple of technical problems. Like we'd be 10 minutes late and we would have people screaming and swearing at us in the chat board or sending us emails. What the F? You're supposed to start at 11. Be professional and start at 11. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Do you want your money back? Oh, that's right. You get this show for free. Shut up. Anyway.
And we would try our best and things wouldn't happen. So that was irritating and always, started whatever. Whereas when we don't do a live, hey, guess what? Schnepp's got another meeting in the morning and he asked if we can, instead of shooting at 10:30 in the morning, can we shoot at 11:15? We can go, yeah, we can do that. We'll shoot at 11:15 that day. No big deal, because we don't have a hard start time that we have to meet for our live audience. It also means if, when we stream live, we could not, have any mistakes, because if we make a mistake, that's it. It's done. Now when we make a mistake with something, with whether there's an editing problem or the wrong graphics came up or anything, right? No big deal. We just fix that later. After we're done shooting the show, we'll just fix that in post-production, render it, upload it, no problem. Everything's fine. Whereas live, we didn't have that luxury. A couple of other problems with this, though. While our comment section in our videos that go up on YouTube, we have the best commenters in there, and there's great discussion and debate and stuff like that. Man, live, the trolls really come out. The trolls come out. As a matter of fact, I tried testing a live stream mailbag last weekend, and I ended up pulling it afterwards because I didn't think I was very good in it. Some of you will think I'm never very good, and that's fair enough. But even for my own perception, I was not very good on it, and I thought you guys deserved better than what I gave that day, so I pulled the show down. But one of the other problems I noticed, because it was up on YouTube for about an hour or two, and a lot of people responded, about, 1,500, 2,000 people watched live. And I had a lot of people emailing me saying, man, the trolls in there, they were just flaming everything, made it really not enjoyable. I'm not going to watch live again. And that's what had some people telling me. And that's hard to moderate live and on the fly. And my thing is I want us to create the best experience for our viewers. And if watching it live, if it became unenjoyable because there's some people that we just had a very hard time moderating, just decided, I'm just going to use this to go in and try to draw attention to myself and just flame because I have no life, it's hard to control that. And when we don't do shows live, that's a lot easier to manage. But the other thing is this. The other reason why we're not just jumping up and automatically saying, yes, we're going to do live again, is because, one of our shows will get anywhere between 60 and 100,000 views, right? But only 2,000 to 3,000 people would watch live. And it's not that those 2,000 to 3,000 people aren't important. They are totally important. But it was like that they only represent about 5% of our audience. So what Dennis and I, when we were sitting down and discussing this, we thought, do we want to put in 25% more effort, make sure we start on time, nothing could go wrong, all this kind of stuff? Do we want to put in 25% more hassle for 5% of the audience? And we thought, maybe not. So I'm not saying we've decided not to do it live again. I'm just saying we haven't decided to say yes to it yet. We're still trying to figure it out. And if you've got a thought or whatever, I would love to hear. Please leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Has there been a disturbing lack of representation for female superhero-driven films? I don't know if you know this, but females make up roughly 50% of the human race. And yet there are no female superhero films. So was there an underrepresentation there? Yes, and this is one of those things where I have a very unpopular opinion, but I don't care because it's what I think, so I'm going to say it, and you're free to agree with it or disagree with it. The reason studios have not made a ton of female superhero films is not because studios are too stubborn to give women their representation in superhero films. That's not it at all. Trust me when I tell you this. Studios are amoral. They are neither good nor bad. In Dungeons and Dragons terms, they're neutral. They're lawful neutral is what studios are. That's what studios. They are neither good nor bad. They have no moral compass whatsoever. What they do have a compass in, and this is what we talked about a little bit earlier, is they have a financial compass, right? They have a financial compass that wherever we'll make the money, ding, that's where their true north is money. The studios having not created or given us a lot of female-led superhero films the last few years has nothing to do with them being sexist. Trust me, it's not. If they thought female superhero films would make them $1 billion, they'd be cranking out 25 a year. They absolutely would. I remember I had the same discussion with some friends of mine about despite the fact that Hollywood everybody says, oh, Hollywood's so liberal. No, Hollywood is amoral. If Hollywood was so liberal, we would have had a lot of gay community represented movies, and we haven't. We just haven't. But I remember having this discussion with my friend though, and saying, but man, trust me, this is not because Hollywood is anti-gay. They're not. If Hollywood thought for 1 minute putting out comedies or action films or horror films that had gay themes and were led by gay characters in them a lot, and they thought those would make them a lot of money, they have no moral compass. They wouldn't care. They would put out 50 of those a year. Hollywood is amoral. The problem with like the female superhero-led films is that for studios, there is precedence for them that female-led superhero movies have lost money. And ultimately what that means is that the fault is not the studios, the fault is ours. We did not, as audience members, go out and support female-led superhero films when they have come out. And there have been a number of female-led superhero films that the studio has taken shots at, and they failed. They've all failed. We have not gone out to support them. Now, there's an argument to be made, say, yeah, but John, they put out crappy female superhero films. Hey, look, I'm not going to argue with you on that point. You're right. But, Transformers 4 was crappy, and we went out and supported it. So look, let's look at movies like Aeon Flux with, I believe it was Charlize Theron who was in that, a super Hollywood star, whatever. That movie lost them money. I think worldwide, no, it made $52 million worldwide, cost them $62 million to make. Oh, they only lost $9 million. No, they didn't. They lost a lot more than that because then there's the marketing costs, there's the theatrical cut that theaters keep the money. They lost tons of money on Aeon Flux. Then there was Supergirl. Supergirl made $14 million at the worldwide box office. $14 million at the worldwide box office. Then you talk about my girl, Jennifer Garner, my all-time celebrity crush. Jennifer Garner's Elektra made $56 million worldwide, cost $43 million to make. Oh, it made money. It made like 12. No. It lost money. Then you add $15 to $20 million from marketing costs. 1/3 of the box office gets kept by theaters. Guess what? Elektra lost money. Then look, the biggest example of all of them, Catwoman, with one of the biggest superstars in Hollywood just coming off her Academy Award win, Halle Berry. $82 million that movie made worldwide on a $100 million budget. The studio took like a $40 million bath on that movie. So you see, Hollywood has put out female superhero movies. They have. But audiences didn't run out to see them. So then the question is, whose fault is that? Trust me, if studios thought by cranking out female-led superhero films they would make a bunch of money, they would be cranking them out like crazy. This is not about Hollywood going, we don't want to support women. That's not that at all. Hollywood is amoral. Their moral compass is guided by money. Completely is. But like I said, the other argument, of course, well, John, Catwoman sucked. Elektra sucked. Aeon Flux, I didn't think Aeon Flux sucked. Supergirl sucked. Yeah, but we are now entering an age that was another era. And now we see the studios are getting ready to try it again. We got Wonder Woman coming. We got Captain Marvel coming. And if these work, and the audience, that's you and that's me, if we show the studios that we will support good female-led superhero movies, then studios will start cranking them out. They will start cranking them out as long as we show them that we are interested in these films. The studios will only do what they think the audience wants them to do. And the only way we tell them what we want them to do is not with our mouths, is not with our emails, it's with our dollars. That's how we communicate with Hollywood studios, is our dollars. That's how they hear us. If we spend money on something, that's them hearing us. If we don't spend money on something, that's the Hollywood studios hearing us. So they're getting ready to take, both Warner Brothers and Marvel are getting ready to take another shot at female-led superhero films. Support them when they come out. I'd say this, even if Wonder Woman is bad, go out and watch it once. Just go out and watch it once, because that'll tell the studios we're interested in female-led superhero films. But by the way, your movie sucked. Whatever. Support it. If you really want to see this type of thing change, show Hollywood that we want it to change.
And it keeps coming up because constantly these rumors come floating around. And, rumors in and of themselves are not really the problem. It's how we respond to rumors. Like, for example, you've heard me harp on this point a lot before, but it bears repeating. There is a difference between a rumor and something being confirmed, right? So I believe this. Something is only confirmed, okay? Only confirmed once you hear it from the studio itself. That is the only time it's confirmed. The studio or one of its representatives, i.e. the guy who's actually going to be directing the, supposed movie, or the person actually starring in the supposed movie, or the person actually writing the supposed movie. In any regard, they're extensions of the studio. It's only once the studio itself says it's confirmed. Too many people in the film fan community, they say, oh, one website said they heard that, let's say, Jenna Malone was going to be Robin. Remember that? Remember, it was practically fact, depending on who and what you read, but it was all over the place. So one website writes, they're hearing Jenna Malone's going to be Robin. And then another website writes the same thing, and then fans go, oh, it's confirmed. Website A wrote it, but website B confirmed it, so it's confirmed Jenna Malone is going to be Robin. Well, obviously that's not the case, because neither website A nor website B is actually the studio. Right? So until you hear it from the studio, it is not confirmed. I mean, it got all out there. Johnny Depp was going to be, remember this one? Johnny Depp was going to be Doctor Strange, or this person was going to play this role. It happens almost every single day. Now, that's not to say that anything that is not confirmed is not true. There are different levels of truth, I guess you could say, when it comes to reports, especially in the world of movie news. For example, when something is reported by, say, The Hollywood Reporter or Variety, when they put out a report saying, we have our sources who are now telling us that this actor is in talks for this role and he's expected to sign any day, I generally give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, that The Hollywood Reporter is still not Warner Brothers, The Hollywood Reporter is still not Fox, so it's still not confirmed. But even though it's not confirmed, you can probably give them the benefit of the doubt that it's probably the case, and you can talk about it. If something is coming from anything less than The Hollywood Reporter or Variety or things like that, these outlets that have, like, basically speaking, I mean, nobody's 100%, but basically is batting 1,000, okay? Then you can give them the benefit of the doubt and say, it's pretty confident to say, yeah, this is going to be the case, so we can talk about it. On Movie Talk alone, we will sometimes we talk about a lot of stories that aren't confirmed because it often will come from The Hollywood Reporter or it's been verified by Variety or stuff like that, and we feel free talking about it. Now, sometimes, too, there are stories that don't necessarily come from The Hollywood Reporter or Variety that we still think there's enough credible thought there that it sounds plausible that we'll discuss it. On Movie Talk, though, what we always try to do over here at Collider is be very, very apparent and be very, very firm about, folks, understand this is not necessarily happening. This is the discussion. This is the rumor right now. Keep in mind, this is just a rumor, okay? Keep in mind, this is just a rumor. And then we'll address it. But oftentimes there will be stories out there that just have no credible basis in fact. Remember that story, and I'm forgetting the name of the actor now, who's going to be in Batman versus Superman, okay? And that picture came out. Nobody knows what roles he was going to play. Scoot McNairy, I think, is the name of the actor. So Scoot McNairy was going to be is in Batman versus Superman. Nobody knows what he's going to play. All of a sudden, this picture comes out. Remember this? This picture comes out with Scoot McNairy with green socks on. Socks that go from, the top of the shoe up to the knee. So it's not just green socks. It's clearly visual effects aids legging, but it goes from his ankle to about his knee. That's all it was. There's a picture of that. All of a sudden, everybody starts running with this story. One site suggested once, Scoot McNairy's probably going to be the Flash. Since he's got green on his legs just from his ankle to his knees, that must mean he's going to be the Flash. And then before you know it, every single freaking website was running with Scoot McNairy, the Flash, even though
it was obvious there was no credible information to suggest that he was going to be the Flash. Nobody at Warner Brothers suggested it. No, his agent didn't let something slip. It was nothing. It was a picture that came out of green socks from his ankles to his knees, and everybody ran with it as, hey, this could be that the guy's being the Flash, even though there's nothing credible on it. We at Movie Talk didn't cover the story except to say this is a ridiculous story. This is an absolutely ridiculous. There's no basis for this. So as film fans, is it okay to talk about stuff that's not necessarily confirmed directly coming from the studio? Yes, absolutely, because there's 50 shades of gray here, pardon the pun, but there's 50 shades of gray. But as film fans, we have to use our own discernment and judgment and say, okay, now wait a minute. People are talking about, Jenna Malone being Robin. Is there any actual credible thing behind this to really suggest that this could be the case? And in the case of Jenna Malone, there was no credible information to even lead us to discuss her possibly being Robin. That doesn't mean it was impossible that she could have been Robin. Of course it's possible, but we try to deal in probabilities, not possibilities. You know what I'm talking about? So this is all highlighted because either last week or the week before that, we got this one mailbag question from somebody, and I cannot remember what movie it was about. Forgive me, though, I can't remember. But somebody asked, hey, wait a minute, this movie's coming out, and it was rumored that 6 months ago that so-and-so was going to be in it, and now he's not. I thought he was supposed to be in it. What happened? And I said, well, that was just a rumor. Don't listen to rumors. And really, what I should have said, I shouldn't have said don't listen to rumors, because it's okay to listen to rumors, but don't believe rumors. Don't believe them. It's okay. Okay, somebody said this guy was going to play this role. All right. But I'm not going to count on that, and I'm not going to take it as fact. And when it doesn't come to pass, I'm not going to say, well, what happened? This guy was supposed to be in that movie. No, he was never supposed to be in that movie. It was just a rumor. So, and once again, it comes down to the audience and the listener and, websites too, to use their judgment as, is this actually credible? Could this actually be the case? Is there stuff to actually back this up that this could be the case? Do you remember, I think it was about 6 months ago too, that one image came online. It was some weird kind of blurry image that was set up to make it look like it was taken on a movie screen. Do you remember this? And it said Batman versus Superman. It was basically Batman versus Superman was being broken into two parts. There's Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice was going to open in whatever month, and then Batman versus Superman Enter the Dark Knight or Enter the Night or something like that. It was part 2 opening up another part. It's like, and everybody got all excited. Oh my gosh, did you hear? Batman is being split into 2 parts. But then when you dug around, you found out the basis for that story was some random anonymous image that was put up on Imager. Somebody found that image and said, look, it must be real. And sure enough, it was fake. It was photoshopped. It wasn't real. And yet everybody ran with it. We just got to be careful. Use our judgment, use our discernment. And when it's just rumor, even then use our judgment and think, okay, is there anything to base this on? And even if there is, don't count on it. Just file it away in your brain as rumor and don't count on it. So when Jenna Malone doesn't end up being Robin, then we're not disappointed and we're not surprised. Okay, some people talked about maybe it was going to happen, but it didn't because it was never true in the first place. With Jenna Malone being Barbara Gordon, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, oh, well, all those websites who wrote that she was going to be Robin, well, now we got to come up with something else. Well, maybe she's Barbara Gordon. Maybe. I mean, her being Barbara Gordon does make more sense than her being Robin, being Kelly because of the massive age gap and what that just didn't make sense. So her being Barbara Gordon, not a wild guess. It's something we can consider, but just make sure you file it in your head as, no matter how many websites you read it on, until it's confirmed or until a super reliable source like The Hollywood Reporter or Variety actually reports it, don't file it in your head as fact. Don't file it in your brain as if you're counting on it now. So that's just kind of the way I would suggest people look at it.
Well, your mind was blown. Your jaw hit the floor. My hands were in my pants.
Is that a good way?
Yeah, in the good way. No, this was... Look, everybody knows what my life and blood runs. It's Star Wars. It's Star Wars. This trailer trumps the Star Wars trailer. This is better than the Star Wars trailer.
Ooh.
And Star Wars trailer had arenas of fans crying tears, and it's great, and it's awesome, and it's not as good as this. This was one of the best trailers I may have ever seen. This is one of the best trailers I've seen in years, for sure. This was, now, once again, put on the big asterisks. We're just talking about the trailer. The movie could end up sucking. I understand that. We saw what happened with Transformers 4. We bought into that trailer. The movie ended up. That could be the same case here. But all we got right now is a trailer. So let's talk about the trailer. It's awesome. And not only, look, first of all, anybody, I think what this trailer has done the best job of silencing the Ben Affleck, the Batflick critics. You see him in those shots and those scenes, him performing those shots and those scenes, and you're like, no, this is him. This is Batman. This is Bruce Wayne. As he's standing here, we're talking about that shot, and we mentioned this on Movie Talk the other day, as he's standing there on the streets watching his building being cut apart, people who work for him dying.
Right.
Watch that trailer again and just watch every little muscle in his face. The way that Ben Affleck, I want to call him Bruce Affleck, the way Ben Affleck's face acts that scene out is insane. The rage and the anger. I was going to say, but it's not just Bruce isn't just mad at Superman. They do a great job in this trailer of adding just enough little flakes that it makes a coherent picture. Because yes, we see him being angry at Superman, but then we also hear that one line dialogue that brings it to more than just emotion for Bruce. It's, he has the power to kill everybody in the world, and I have to destroy him.
Yeah,
it's great. So there's an intellectual part to it, there's an emotional part to it, and they're mashed together with the Superman soldiers, right? There's a couple, if you look at a couple of really key shots there. Number one, we see Kal-El kneeling in front of Lex Luthor. What I think is happening there is that the Senate says, we hold you responsible, and they put a leash on Superman. Superman who's like, hey, I'm all-American red, white, and blue. What does the country want me to do? And they say, you know what? You are now going to be stewarded by the great American Lex Luthor. You have to answer to Lex Luthor. You can't act without the permission of Lex. You have a liaison in a sense, right? And I think then when you see Superman go down to that sewer and there's those Superman soldiers kneeling, right? As Superman walks towards the camera, you realize he's got this look of disgust on his face. I don't think he likes them. I think they're Luthor's guys. I think Luthor puts together this sort of thing for them. And I'm not really sure. But two of the key things that stand out to me that a lot of people are talking about online about the trailer. Number one is Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. So I had a bunch of people writing to me saying, John, you're absolutely right. She sucks. Look at the way they're hiding her. They don't let you see her act or say a single line in the trailer. And to that, I would say, that doesn't mean anything. She's a small character. We know she has a small role in the film, okay? So it's not a big deal that she doesn't speak. I don't think her not speaking in this one trailer for a movie that's still 8 months away says that she does a bad job in the movie. She might do a great job in the movie. I don't think the trailer says anything that way. Then I got some people saying to me, well, John, now obviously she's awesome in it. No, she's not. We see 2 shots of a girl in a costume. That's all we see. So I don't think there's anything to be discouraged by or anything to be encouraged by. But the big thing, though, is the Robin outfit. That Robin, at first I thought it was another Batman outfit until we saw the close-up shots.
Right.
That Robin outfit with the yellow writing clearly from the Joker, ha ha ha, Batman, joke's on you. So I mean, he killed Robin at some point in DC's
with a
history.
tire iron, because that's what the outfit is holding.
Well, it didn't look like
crowbar.
It wasn't a crowbar he was holding. It was like a 7-foot long. It was kind of like a half trident with a spear hook on the end, and then a straight blade, and then almost like a 3-prong walker thing on the other end. It was very weird. I don't recognize the weapon myself.
That's probably what the Joker killed him with.
But I agree. I believe that's probably what the Joker killed him with. But some interesting things about that outfit. When you look at that outfit, and I've always said, I don't want Robin in these movies. But if you were to make Robin in these movies, here's how you can make him work. Make him an adult. Don't make him a 14-year-old kid. And when you look at that Robin costume with arms this big, that was the costume of an adult. It also tells us that Robin is dead, which is another layer of anger and rage for Bruce Wayne. We could go on about this trailer all day.
There's so many
good things. What about all that being said? I am a massive fan of X-Men Days of Future Past, that movie, and what Bryan Singer did to that. I still think X-Men 2 is one of the greatest comic books movies ever made, and I'm sure we're going to get to that in just a little bit. It didn't chime with me. First of all, the apocalypse in this didn't really chime with me. Dennis pointed something out, and as I watched the trailer more and more, it really sat wrong with me. It looks like there's a mind control thing going on. Now, if they do the far more interesting thing, where somehow, you know, Apocalypse convinces Storm to join him, convinces Magneto to join him, but if this is another cheap use of that plot device that we see used over and over and over again, mind control, he's mind controlling them, and they were, I'm going to be very, very disappointed by that. Now, that doesn't mean that if that's the plot device they use, that Bryan Singer isn't still going to make an amazing movie around it. I'm just saying I'm going to be disappointed by that part. I think it should be something better. And unlike the Batman v Superman trailer, I didn't catch as much of the, you know, the narrative, or I wasn't drawn in by what is the drama going on here. And the Batman v Superman, it wasn't about explosions. It was about the drama. I didn't feel that in this. I didn't hate the trailer. It just didn't get my blood going like a Deadpool trailer or like a Batman vs Superman trailer did. But look, what this whole movie, the existence of this movie is DC playing to their strengths, all right? Because if you want to talk DC versus Marvel, which I think is a fruitless conversation to have, let's just be thrilled we're all getting these great comic book movies. It doesn't matter if the Marvel title comes versus the DC. But the one thing that you could say that DC has an edge over Marvel in when it comes to cinematic stuff is they have the better villains. Notwithstanding Loki, I think as much as I love almost all the Marvel films, the one normal criticism I usually have at the end of the film is kind of an underused villain, kind of a forgettable villain, kind of like across the board. With Suicide Squad, this is DC saying, we believe we have the more interesting, the more compelling, the more watchable villains, and we're going to make a movie about the bad guys. Now, look, everybody was waiting for this trailer, and they were all waiting to see two things, and it wasn't Will Smith, and it wasn't Jai Courtney. They were waiting to see Harley Quinn, and they gave us Harley Quinn.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, right from the beginning of her doing her Cirque du Soleil bit, like hang up, and the music choice of the trailer was perfect. Because the last time I heard that song in a movie was in Zoolander, after the funeral of the supermodels. That's the last time. But so this they kind of pulled an Avengers: Age of Ultron, right? Where they took
the Pinocchio,
a Pinocchio song, slow, creepy, but it worked. It worked for this. And then some guard gets into the prison and she kills the guard, right? The other thing is that we were all looking forward to, obviously, was that guy. It was the Joker.
Yeah.
And look, for all the criticisms that everybody wanted to have about the look of the Joker, and look, I said I wasn't sure how I felt about the look. I said, partially it looks really cool and wild and maniacal and whatever, but the other half just kind of feels like soccer hooligan. I wasn't really sure how to read it. But none of that's relevant. What is relevant is that when you hear him speak in this trailer, that's the Joker.
Right.
That is. And Dennis pointed this out, and I completely agree with him because I thought the same thing. When you hear him talk, I thought that was a perfect blend of the Mark Hamill Joker and the Heath Ledger Joker blended into one. And when he says, "Oh, I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to hurt you really, really bad." And then it's like, that's him. That's the Joker. I don't care about the tattoo. I don't care about the silver. That's the fucking Joker.
Yeah,
that's the Joker. That's the Joker right there. And we got him, and it's awesome. And everything else looked fine. It was a teaser trailer.
Yeah.
We still didn't get it. And, you know, Deadshot looked fine. Jai Courtney looked fine as Captain Boomerang. Everything else looked fine. But they totally nailed what they had to nail. And that's what got me. Do I think it's an amazing trailer? It's a really good trailer, but it got what it had to get.
Yeah.
And that's the part that excites me. Well, it raises a couple of interesting ethical questions, actually, because the one thing, like, even when we discussed earlier today, we agreed on all the core points, though. Like, core point number one, if a studio is going to show you something special and they say, hey, don't record this, then you're a jerk if you record it. I mean, they're showing it to you, and they're asking you not to record it. You're a jerk if you record it. We also agreed that we're all hypocrites, because while we agreed that it's a jerk who recorded it, we're going to run out and watch it online the moment it gets available. We also agree that in today's day and age, that when studios bring these things there, where everybody's carrying a global communications device, video and audio communications device in their pocket, you have to be prepared for the fact this may come out and leak online. And then the fear about, well, does this mean, will studios then start going, hey, then we're not going to show anything there or whatever? It's a difficult, tricky situation to navigate. I think there's 2 points of the argument. There's the shoulds, and then there's what will actually happen. The shoulds are, a studio should go to Comic-Con understanding that what we show here is going to leak, so we should plan to 24 hours later have it available online. We should plan to 12 hours later have it online. Now, my fear about the reality of that is that a studio like Paramount, who may go, well, we're not ready to have that. We don't want this online yet. And therefore, if we have to just accept it's going to go online if we show it at Comic-Con, then we're just not going to go to Comic-Con and we're just not going to show anything. That's my fear. So I'm hoping over the next 12 months, a nice balance is found in there somewhere where, hey, maybe they find a fast and efficient way, because right now there is no fast and efficient way to check phones when you walk in. That, like, a lot of movie premieres that Schnepp and I go to, when you go into the theater, you have to take your phone out and put it in a Ziploc bag that they hold on to. Then you can get your camera back when you leave. It's a very long, painful process. Maybe they'll find a quick way to do that. Or maybe studios will just realize, look, if we're going to Comic-Con, we just have to accept this. Or maybe they come up with new technology that says all cell phones automatically, like a little EMP pulse that they send up before the trailers start. Turn off. I don't know. I just hope they can come up with something.